Meanwhile, at the Bayside Diner, Mandy and Adrian are talking. Let me get this straight here. There's nothing to it. I want to get married. Unless you don't love me as you say you do. Wow. Emotional blackmail? That's real low for you. Not exactly. It's me doing whatever I have to keep you in my life. Alright, fine. Let's do it. Let's get married. Please don't insult me by saying no. Seriously. Let's get married. Tell me when and we'll go for it all the way. Meanwhile, at the Los Angeles International Hospital in Gwen's room, Gwen's lying in bed thinking while watching TV. Just as Rachel came and saw what her sister's doing and knocked on her door, which caused Gwen to saw her sister there. Oh, hey sis, how are you? And as Rachel came in, fine, where's your husband? I sent him to the diner to get some real food. You would think we would get used to the food here since we're working all, but I totally get it. And as Rachel turned and closed the door, and turned and head back to where Gwen is, and arrived and sat by her bedside while Gwen said something wrong for sister. What's wrong? Everything. I feel like a damn fool to have made the worst mistake of my life. Meanwhile, at the Grand Baptist Church in the kitchen, Jennifer and Matt are talking. If the baby's not yours, then I'll be out of your hair once and for all. I keep telling you that, but you just don't listen. But if it is yours, and as Matt got his iPhone out and began calling someone, which Jennifer saw. What are you doing? What does it look like? I'm calling the car because we're heading to the hospital and we're doing this now. Meanwhile, in the women's dressing room, Annie and Karen are talking. So, are we doing this or are we having a staring contest? You know, I really don't know what to say here. Why don't you slap me? It seems you are so fond of violence whenever somebody steps out of line. This isn't a game, Annie. Wow, I never knew it was. Tell me this. Did you really slap my son? Or all this is some twisted fantasy of yours? Wrong, Karen. That's Mrs. Good Charm to you. Whatever. I love your son more than anything in this, and as Karen slapped Annie. Don't you ever mention that word and my son in the same sentence again. Meanwhile, in the men's dressing room, Vanessa and Aaron are surprised by Mimi's arrival. Do you mind? We're having a private conversation here. I really don't give a damn. My daughter means a lot to me, and Mom, she sabotaged my relationship by falsifying that she slept with Aaron when in turn she didn't. Yeah, I got her to admit it all. And you thought you just, I don't know, dive back into him as if nothing happened? That'll sure be the day. Look, lady, none of this is any of your business, so why don't you back the hell off? Meanwhile, in the sanctuary, as Tina Carter Hardy's funeral is still in progress, Daniel's at the podium speaking before the congregation. I've never realized that I would be up here today saying goodbye to the woman that I just found out to be my mother a few years ago. When we met, we didn't exactly hit it off well. But over time, I began to let my walls down, as they say. And then I found out recently that I have another brother with the same mom. And even though my mom and dad aren't together, I truly know that they love each other, including my dad's family, who is my half. No matter what goes on, I will never stop loving you, Mom. And I promise you to keep your legacy alive, no matter what it takes. And as Jeremy in turn got up and went to where Daniel is, just as he turned and saw as he arrived, just as they began hugging each other with a round of applause from the congregation. And as they pulled away with Daniel heading back and sat in his respective spot while Jeremy turned to the podium and faced the congregation who's applauding. While that's going on, Rita and Adam both came in and went and sat in the row where Bradley, Lucy, and Tristan is, just as the applause began to die out and as Jeremy began to speak before the congregation. Meanwhile, at the Bayside Diner, Mandy and Adrian are talking. Are you really much of a stupid muppet? I want us to get married immediately. You know that's not easy. Why? Well, we have to get registered and then we have... Really? You know damn well there's other ways. Besides, I don't want to get married in Los Angeles. So, you want to go to Las Vegas? As in, yeah, I want to be your wife. I have to give my family some notice. As if they give a damn. Face it, mate, they've already present you for being the fact that you're Mimi and Bradley's son. Okay, I have to get a private jet fueled up, and after that, we go and get hitched. And as Adrian got up and turned and head to the back. Meanwhile, at the Los Angeles International Hospital in Gwen's room, Gwen and Rachel are talking. Are you serious? Annie and Scott been playing us for fools? What I don't get is why Scott managed to lure himself in Annie's so-called web. He was the last person I would expect to portray me. Unless he took a page from my ex-husband Justin, who was there gloating over the fact you mean when you chose Scott over him? Yeah, I know. It was kind of feel like I regretted that whole choice. Perhaps Justin and I could have been a family after all. Speaking of which, what do you plan to do with Scott? Scott and I are done for good. I want nothing more to do with him. In fact, I'm gonna get me lawyer together and I am turn filing for divorce. All of what happened makes sense to why my husband and I was locked in storage. You know what? I want to know what Helen's endgame is. Meanwhile, in Jennifer's room, Jennifer's lying in bed while Taya's finished getting the sample. How long usually does the results take? It's 24 to 72 hours. But since your husband's parents are cops and yours, Matt, wanted this test done as soon as possible, so I'm Jennifer, it's fine. How did the whole send-off went? Well, it briefly stopped thanks to Annie and Scott's secret, which was revealed to the world. That church has seen its fair share of drama. Come on, Taya. Our families aren't that exactly dramatic. And as Matt came in, and Taya and Jennifer saw him, oh yes, I got the sample from your wife and I will compare it to what we have on file from you. Thank you for doing this at short notice, Taya. No problem. The results will take a couple hours at most. Would you lot please excuse me? And as Taya went, I left Jennifer's room, closing the door. And as Matt looked at Jennifer, who saw. What? I know that look, and it tells me you're looking for a way to wiggle yourself out of this. Not happening at all. Meanwhile, at the Grand Baptist Church in the kitchen, Jan and Sheldon came in. And as she turned and faced her husband, look, I know you told me to keep out of it, but I couldn't bear myself to do Jan. I understand you wanted to protect the people you care about. I am not comparing myself. I am not a saint. I had my own shares of mistakes in the past. You did what you thought was best. That's why I had Jacob raise Joey with me seeing him occasionally. Do you still want to have a family with me? Of course I do. More than anything in this world. Then why don't we get out of here? Unless for some reason you want to stick around for Tina's send-off. Yeah, I thought as much. And as Jan and Sheldon went and left the kitchen. Meanwhile, in the women's dressing room, Annie and Karen are talking. You see, you just proven my point on violence. That's what you lot get off on, and then having the nerve to blame my family. This isn't a game, Annie. You and Scott's life has ruined multiple people's lives who are still standing in the end. Look, I get it, Karen. Really, I do. You made it clear on how much you hate my family, and you always have. And you stating you're not to blame for all the twisted things you did. Aaron has trusted you with his life. Just how could you do that to him, you lying deceitful cow? Or was you ever gonna tell him that I wanted him to bond them first? Do you hear yourself on how insanely bonkers you sound right now? Frankly, Karen, I really don't give a damn. Then why don't you burn this in your little brain? Stay the hell away from my family. And if I don't, what are you gonna do about it? Meanwhile, in the men's dressing room, Mimi, Vanessa, and Aaron are talking. You always find some way to stick your beak in matters that don't concern you. Wrong. When it comes to my family, I always have my 2 cents to put in. The fact is what, Mom? You coming and spewing demands in search when my own sister has sabotaged my relationship with the man I love. And who is this man you speak of? Owen? Aaron? Or even Matthew, for the matter? Enough! Not even close. Annie may not be perfect, but no one is. And so you are gonna find Annie, and I guess you didn't hear the memo of back the hell off. We're having a send-off here, so why don't you do one? I'm not going anywhere. Then we are. Please excuse us. And as Vanessa and Aaron both went and left the men's dressing room, just as Harold came in to where Mimi is, who turned and saw me. I came to inform you that your time is almost done. Meanwhile, in the sanctuary, as Tina Carter Hardy's funeral is still in progress, Jeremy is speaking before the congregation. When I first came into town back in February this year, I was searching for my parents after realizing the people who raised me wasn't in fact my parents. So I decided to do some digging, which led me to my mom here. Yeah, just like me brother Daniel, we also didn't exactly get out to a great start. But I didn't expect to be here saying goodbye. I really wanted to get to know the woman who gave me up. And even though I now know the truth, I just wish I could see you again, Mom. But I assure you, whatever time we have, I will never forget. And as everyone began applauding, and as Jeremy went and sat in the front row on the right by Daniel, Amanda, and the rest, and as Joanna looked at Jeremy, who saw what? That was very moving, Jeremy. And as the minister got up and came to the podium, which everyone saw, at this time, you lot may form a line and come and say your final goodbyes to Tina Hartley Carter. Meanwhile, at the Bayside Diner, Mandy is thinking, while she has the flashbacks of her heading towards the diner's entrance. And as she arrived, just as her scarf fell to the ground, and as Adrian got down, she didn't know and got it, and stand up and face her, which she saw. I believe this is yours, madam. Madam? God, are we in the dark ages or something? And as Mandy got from him. Thanks. No problem. And as Adrian went and opened the door and held it open, which Mandy saw. After you, madam. Why don't you join me if you want? Sure. Just one thing. Drop the madam thing. And as the flashback ends, just as Adrian arrived and sat in the booth which Mandy saw. Oi, you okay? Yeah. Did you know that we met here a few months ago? How ironic that time goes by quickly. I agree. All the more reason for us to get hitched as soon as possible. And speaking of that, the jet's all fueled up and ready for takeoff. Good. Why don't we run home, grab a few things, and be out to the one place where getting married is easy as winning the jackpot? Sounds amazing to me. And as both Mandy and Adrian got up and went and hold hands while they both left the diner. Meanwhile, at the Los Angeles International Hospital in Gwen's room, Gwen and Rachel are talking. Look, between you and I think Helen is about to be rearrested again for Angela's attempted murder. I see. Carly could have died of that whole ordeal. Thank God she hasn't. So, what are you gonna do in the meantime? I'll probably pick up a few shifts here to ease me time and probably check up on my son Patrick. Well, you know, if you need anything, I know where to find you. Thank you. And as Rachel got up and went and left Gwen's room and began walking down the hall, just as Scott approached to where she is, and she saw him, and as they both stopped and faced each other. Meanwhile, in Jennifer's room, Jennifer and Matt are talking. Tell me, why would I weasel myself out of this? You clearly have me exactly where you want me. Come on already. Will you stop being so damn dramatic? Oh, I'm dramatic. You know, you could avoid the inedible and just point out blank tell me that let's just wait for the results, yeah? For once we both agree. And by the way, your little crew isn't gonna doctor them. It's really a shame that it comes to this. We could have really had something there, but we don't now, do we? I have a question for you. What is it? How do you feel about seeing Tina's doppelganger twin, Jessica, about? Meanwhile, at the Grand Baptist Church in a women's dressing room, Annie and Karen are talking. Annie, you have known me long enough not to test me. I am not scared of your little threats or the fact that you're attempting to intimidate me. Believe me, Annie, you haven't seen a mere taste of what I can do. There you go again. By the way, you're supposed to be in prison for killing your sister. Not that it's any concern to you. I didn't kill her at all. Whatever you say, Karen. But Daniel's not convinced. Now, what would happen if, say, I stirred the pot some more? You don't scare me. Neither do you. So I guess we're at a stalemate here. Guess again. Go near my family, and I promise you, you will regret it. And as Karen in turn turned and went and left the women's dressing room. Yeah, we shall much see about that. And as Annie got up and head towards the exit of the women's dressing room, and just as she arrived, Vanessa came in and closed the door, blocking Annie, which she saw. Good timing, sis. You saved me the trouble of having to find you. Now, you and I am gonna have some words right now, starting with this, and it's Annie slap Vanessa. Meanwhile, in the recreation room, Aaron is looking about the room with funeral arrangements everywhere. Just as Karen came in and saw what her son's doing. And soon he turned and saw his mom, who came to where he is and arrived, and as she began hugging him, with him returning the favor, resulting in them hugging each other. Meanwhile, in the sanctuary, as people begin to party the send-off, let's get to Amanda, Daniel, and Jeremy who are talking. How the hell did Karen get bail in the first place? Because of her rich family status. Not to worry. When this goes to trial, and believe me it will, she'll get sent down for my mom's murder. Come on already. And as Casey and Richard came to where they are, and they all saw them. Man, my mom didn't kill your mother. Yeah? And what proof do you have? That's what I thought. Nothing. And I suppose you have this proof of theory you and your brother spewing. It's called motive, which could be thrown out. Or have you forgotten my brother is a lawyer? How can we, when we all heard his dirty little secret with Annie? Face it, Casey. Your family is nice as that wall behind you. Meanwhile, in the limousine, Harold and Mimi are talking. How's the appeal going forward? In good shape. Dollars put in a good argument for your case, and it looks like it could be paying off very soon. Good. And when that happens, everyone who wronged us will pay. And believe me, they will. Meanwhile, at the Rosedale Ridge Manor, Jan and Sheldon both came in, with Sheldon closing the door. And as they turn and face each other, so my darling, are you ready to create a family? Before we do so, there's something that I need to tell you.